everyone, and welcome back to your daily government financial news update. In today's video, we will be discussing stimulus checks as high as $4,000 that can still be claimed. Other than that, we discuss the rising gas prices and what President Joe Biden is currently doing about them. Okay, so gas prices are once again slightly on the rise up to an average of $3.88 per gallon throughout the United States. In California, for example, the average price according to 888 is $5.88, whereas in Georgia, on the lowest side, we are seeing averages at $3.23. Bear in mind, until President Biden took office, we didn't see gas prices hit an average of over $3, seen all the way back in 2014 when Barack Obama was still in office. Whether or not you want to pin the blame on President Biden or not for these higher prices, it really doesn't matter. One thing that I think we can all agree on is that Americans are certainly struggling, whether it's higher gas prices or the higher price of food. CNBC has found that the typical US household is spending approximately $445 more a month due to inflation over a year. That's $5,340 or a really nice trip to Europe. And again, whether you want to place the blame on President Biden Democrats for the war in Ukraine or whatever else, in the end, this is a huge pain to many Americans, specifically those in the lower and middle class. And I gotta say, the pain may only get worse over time. According to USA Today, to cope with inflation, many Americans are now turning to loans in credit cards to pay their bills. So what we are going to likely see happening over the next year or two is this extra debt begins to accumulate, which will be compounded by higher interest rates, which in turn will lead to many credit card companies moving accounts over to collections. So inflation, something that started this deal that most lawmakers could only be transitory, has now carried on for over a year now and has really only gotten worse. President Biden, in an effort to lower gas prices, or at least keep them for 2 weeks before the midterms, is now releasing millions of barrels of oil from the strategic reserve. This is the move that Republicans say is short-sighted and something that should only be done during a time of crisis, should not necessarily be defined as trying to keep prices low right before the election. At a time we are just 39% of Americans approve of Joe Biden's overall framework, I guess we shouldn't be surprised that he is willing to do anything necessary to even match Donald Trump's approval rating of 42%. This includes forgiving up to $20,000 in student loan debt per person, a move that could have been done much earlier in his term, but instead chose to wait until a month before the midterm election. And now, the Supreme Court has been asked to block Biden's student debt relief program, pending the outcome of a pending appeal at the lower federal court. Due to the higher inflation, the IRS released the new tax brackets for 2023, which pushed each bracket up by right around 7%. On top of that, the standard deduction will increase by $1,800 for joint filers, $1,400 for the head of households, and by $900 for single filers. When another announcement by the IRS was that millions of Americans are still eligible to receive a $1,400 stimulus check, where they estimate that around 9 million people still haven't claimed them. If you're eligible, you can still claim it by filing a tax return for 2021. For those eligible, the IRS should be sending you a letter in the mail, which I'm sure many Americans will find to be a relief, considering that many letters from the agency are actually asking Americans to send them more money. Of course, as always, we should be aware of all the scams that can take place. And so with this being public knowledge that the IRS is looking to send Americans $1,400 checks, we may begin to see scammers take advantage of this situation. Another payment deadline for stimulus checks is coming up on October 31st, when residents of New Jersey who also happen to be undocumented immigrants are eligible for payments of up to $4,000. So far, it's been noted that around 18,000 immigrant workers have received the funds. But state officials say that roughly 17,000 applicants are still eligible for this money. Now, it could be that they are just unaware of this program, or perhaps they are worried that it could somehow get them flagged for not being here illegally, and therefore possibly cause them to be deported back to their countries. On top of that, Americans have until November 15th to claim their child tax credit benefit from 2022, which gave families $300 for each child under the age of 6 and $250 for children over the age of 6 but under the age of 18. If you are eligible and never received this money and never claimed it on your tax returns for this year, you can still do so by filling out the form on tetctc.org. Over in California, as of October 7th, they began sending out payments as high as $1,050 to families and $350 to individuals if you live in the state and received these payments last year via direct deposit. State officials said that at the latest, you should receive this one by October 25th. On the other hand, if you did not receive or weren't eligible for the Golden State Stimulus, you should receive this one anywhere between October 28th and November 14th. In some money news, stocks dropped off once again yesterday, with the S&P 500 falling by 0.67%, the Dow Jones was down by 0.33%, and the Nasdaq was also in the red, down by 0.85%. This year, the CEO of JP Morgan Chase, Jamie Dimon, believes that it may still fall by another 20%. For investors, this obviously could not be good news. But due to Jamie Dimon saying that we have another 20% drop to come, we have another so-called expert saying the market is about to explode to all-time highs in 2023. As far as futures go so far, we are seeing some mixed results, with the Dow Jones up by 0.3%, but the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq are both down by 0.29% and 0.61%. Over the last day, Bitcoin has also been down by 0.37%. On that note, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this video. I hope that you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video.